Hi friends, welcome back to another episode of Generation Tech. My name is Alan. So yesterday I fell asleep outside and someone ran over the side of my head with a lawnmower, which is kind of cool, I guess. You know, it was getting a little too hot for me to wear that hat anymore. Thank you for your service. You will be missed. Have you guys ever wondered how much things in Star Wars cost? Have you ever wondered how much, say, an Xwing would cost? Could you even afford it? What about a nice set of Beskar Mandalorian armor? If you actually knew how much it cost, would the protection it gave be worth it? Now, I went to my local bank the other day to withdraw some money, and while I was there, I asked them what the exchange rate between the US dollar and Galactic Credit was, but they didn't seem to want to tell me. So I guess we're gonna have to use our intelligence instead. Unfortunately for me, I spent most of my attribute points in my charisma. Yeah, that's it. We'll be taking the prices of several Star Wars commodities and products and compare them to the prices of related items in our own world. We'll be comparing it with the US dollar as it's the most widely circulated currency in the world. One of the best factors to determine the worth of a currency is by seeing how much food it can purchase. All living things need to consume some kind of energy, and food costs are a good benchmark for the overall health of an economy. Generally, the more prosperous a society, the smaller percentage the average individual needs to spend on grub. We'll be taking a look at Dex's Diner on Coruscant. The planet is a central trading hub of the galaxy, therefore it has numerous well-established trade routes which allows for a consistent flow of goods to arrive on the planet, and therefore much more stable prices. Because of the planet's huge population, the variety and amount of food is quite substantial, which actually sounds a lot like New York City. Dex's Diner is located in a lower-end neighborhood called Cocoa Town, but since it's on the surface, it's still a relatively expensive area to own property. So for the purposes of this video, we'll be comparing Dex's Diner to a diner I used to go to in Queens. At Dex's, a glass of blue milk costs 1.5 credits. In Queens, white milk is about $2.75. Nerf steak and eggs cost 12.5 credits. Steak and eggs cost $18.45. A side of potato wedges costs 3.5 credits. Fries cost around $4.25. Now, we took a bunch of other things from desserts to main courses and averaged the exchange rates between all of these items. We ended up with an exchange rate of $1.52 to every Galactic Credit. But for the sake of accuracy, let's look at a few more items like the Galactic Empire's weapons. Now, to accurately use their gear for comparison, we have to take into account the inflation that occurred during the Republic's transition to the Empire. During the Clone Wars, the Senate voted to deregulate the banks to allow the intergalactic banking clan to open more lines of credit to the Republic so they could fund their growing war machine. A part of the bill was a ludicrous increase in interest rates.
We will lend the Republic at our standard interest rate of 25%.
What?
That's even more than what my loan shark Joey charges me, and he takes children and small animals as collateral. With those kind of terrible interest rates, I could only imagine the Republic would try to print more credits. A lot more credits. Problem is, the independent IGBC is the main guarantor of the Galactic Credit. But of course, that wouldn't stop someone like Palpatine. So what he did was orchestrate an invasion of one of the central worlds of the IGBC, which in turn forced the Republic to invade and liberate the planet. In the end, the IGBC officials ceded control of the banking system to the office of the Supreme Chancellor. And now not only could he restructure the loans and lower interest rates, he could print as much credits as he wanted.
Good.
So in order to find the inflation rate, we'll need to look at the prices of two comparable items from different time periods. The Clone Army, for the most part, never sold their arms to the public, so it's relatively hard to find information about how much their weapons cost, so instead we'll have to compare Separatist weapons to the Empire. The E5 was the main blaster rifle used by B-1 battle droids and BX droid commandos. They cost around 900 credits. The Galactic Empire's main blaster rifle, the E11, costs around 1,000 credits, a 10% increase. The SC-14 blaster pistol also was utilized by the Separatists, and it cost around 500 credits, while the DH-17 blaster pistol used during the Galactic Civil War cost around 550 credits, also another 10% increase. So within 3 years, there was a 10% inflation of the Galactic Credit, which is pretty awful. That's roughly the same inflation rate the US dollar had in the 3 years leading up to the 2007 recession. So back to the E11, it costs around 1,000 credits, and it's comparable to most main assault rifles used by militaries today. Of course, it's hard to figure out exactly which rifle is the best comparison. For instance, the high-end FN Scar L has an MSRP of $2,700, but it's definitely not a rank-and-file weapon. whereas a Serbian-made AK-47 will only set you back around $600. Both of these weapons occupied the extreme ends of the quality versus price spectrum. What the Empire needed was something more balanced. To me, the most fitting rifle in this situation is the Colt M4. Before other contractors started undercutting them, the Colt was selling a basic M4 package for around $1,300, making the exchange rate $1.30 for every Galactic Credit, which is kind of similar to what the British pound is worth. Now, if we factor in inflation and go to pre-Clone War prices, it's more like $1.44 for every Galactic Credit, which is kind of similar to our first estimates using food. The DA-17 blaster pistol, which costs $550, is similar to the US Army's main sidearm Beretta's M9A1, which costs around $640 per unit. That's an exchange rate of $1.16 per Galactic Credit, and pre-Clone Wars exchange rate of $1.28. We also got to look at a few vehicles. The 74Z speeder bike goes for about 8,000 credits. Now, our own military doesn't really utilize motorcycles because they're not in a Hollywood action movie, but they recently contracted Zero Motorsports to build a couple XXM electric dirt bikes just in case our recon troops need to do a bit of scouting. I couldn't find the military contract price for it, but the civilian version is more or less the same and goes for MSRP of $11,000. That gives us an exchange rate of around $1.38 to the Galactic Credit and a pre-Clone Wars exchange rate of $1.53, just a cent off of our original food exchange rate price. Now, I keep going back to the food exchange rate because I think it's one of the more accurate ones that we've done so far. A lot of the menu items are obviously influenced by real-world items, and the price match very closely as well from item to item. It's almost as if the designers of this menu were looking at the same menu that I was looking at. But problems begin to arise when we begin looking at things with more advanced technology, like say a starfighter and large ground vehicles like the AT-AT. Simply put, we just don't really have the military vehicles that are close enough in function and components for me to comfortably use in this scenario. If you look at the research guys, the US dollar is trading at around $1 to $1.50 for each Galactic Credit, and I think that's only going to continue to get worse as inflation continues to destroy the value of our money. So guys, if you are currency traders out there, I do recommend buying the Galactic Credit right now. It seems like a good purchase. Anyway guys, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification button for some more intergalactic trading and investment tips. And every now and then guys, we'll profile companies that we think you guys should invest your hard-earned money in. With the war brewing between the First Order and New Republic, we think Zoltan Corporation, the leading manufacturer in Bacta fluid, is a great buy. After losing its headquarter and most of its senior leadership on Hosnian Prime, Zoltan's shares fell to a 4-year low due to speculation, but the company's actual manufacturing sites are still intact. It's a great time to buy Zoltan Corporations. Besides, if anyone's going to profit from war, it might as well be you guys. This investing tip has been brought to you guys by our Patreon supporters who have been supporting us and funding this channel when advertisers won't, because we're giving ill-advised investing tips that are slightly illegal. Anyway guys, thanks for joining us today. If you're watching this, you are Generation Tech.